the summertime, it felt right drinking cherry wine with you. Just wanted to own it, just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here, oh, we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you.
Welcome to Everything Sparkle. With us is Katherin. Katherin, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing great, and I heard you just finished filming a movie.
The movie that we're doing that's in pre-production, okay, is Evil Black Widow. It's written by David Bond and Craig Muckler. David Bond is Cyclone Entertainment, and let me see. Craig Muckler is from Microwave Massacre fame, and also he did Malibu High. Those are his two most iconic.
Wow. So are you the evil Black Widow?
No, I'm not. I played the hotel owner, but it's in pre-production. And we're hoping to get Ashton Kutcher. And we're working with some very, very big people. You know, they're in the money phase and all that. Needs a lot to be done with it.
Don't sparkle on the garbage.
And so anyway,
I heard William in the background. William could come on if he wants to. What did he say?
Come on over here, babe. Come here. Come on. That's my husband, William Lashbrook.
Is William in the movie too?
Hello, Sparkle.
Yeah, he's going to be in the movie. He's going to be in the movie. Here's my husband right there, William Lashbrook. He also worked with me in a couple of years ago in FTP Productions, produced by Jennifer Dawn Anderson, called Heavy Metal with the late Jimmy Shandy and Dr. Linda Sullivan.
I think I was a garbage collector there too. It's unbelievable.
But anyway, it's
horror
genre. It's horror genre, you know.
Sparkle, I'm drinking to your good health.
But,
so how long have you guys been acting?
Well, I've been acting since, many, many years. But Bill actually, he started up in Mill Valley outside of San Francisco and doing Shakespeare with the Mill Valley Players.
Oh,
so
wow.
He's a very good actor. He's the day he plays in Heavy Metal, he plays Johnny the Cleaner.
So, Katherin, what are some of the works we know you from?
Okay, Mansion of Blood with Gary Busey, and it's got a great cast of many.
Isn't it out
really
now, or is it?
Honey, it's been out.
Oh, okay.
It's been out.
I never know. Sparkle, I'm always the last. I'm always the last to know what's going on. Do you have that problem yourself?
The last to
Gary
know.
Busey is the star. That's the one who plays the main guy. But there's also oh my God, Drew Barrymore's brother. They had a lot of names in it. Who else? A lot of names that you would recognize. I don't have them in front of me, but Mansion of Blood did very well.
And you started, you've been acting, you did projects with your late husband, Sal Pacino, right?
Yes, I did. And a movie that's going to be coming out again. They're redoing it in Blu-ray, and it's called Holy Hollywood. It's about, the behind the scenes in, what do you call it? Hollywood production and all that goes behind the scenes and weird characters. And they're dedicating it to the late Mickey Rooney and also to the late, my husband, the late Sal Pacino.
Wow. So how long were you guys married for? You have a little part in it?
Yeah, I have a small part in it. I play Tyler's mom. Tyler, I forgot who he was played by, but he was the star, and Mickey Rooney was his father, and my husband Sal Pacino was his grandfather.
What a
So it's
great
coming out
cast! That
again.
sounds like a lot of fun.
It was. It's nice to work with family. That's what I liked about it.
And so, what was it like being
Also,
married?
I did.
What was it like being
Go
married
ahead.
to Sal? What was it like being married to Sal?
Sal was a great guy. He was a wonderful guy, very decent. And as some of you know and may not know, he was the father of Al Pacino. We were married for over 10 years. We were together over 10 years. We were married for 10 years. And unfortunately, he died back in 2005 of a heart attack. He was also part of the Silver Foxes, which is our exercise videos that with parents of stars, people like the father of oh my God, Hoffman. What is it? Dustin Hoffman.
Okay.
The oh my God, and let me see.
Rocky.
Who?
Rocky.
Oh yeah. Sylvester Stallone's mother.
Okay. So is it exercise video for actors? I've never heard of this. This sounds awesome. The Silver Foxes. I love it.
Yeah, it was quite famous in its time because who was that the gymnast that he was gay, he's gay.
Oh.
That
oh yes.
Anyway, it was a fun, many fun videos were made out of it, and very proactive.
It was syndicated.
Older people. It was syndicated. They would go on many shows of syndicated artists.
So, Katherin, how did you meet Sal? And it was a two-part question. How did you meet Sal, and then how did you meet William?
They were both arranged marriages. I met them through friends.
That's awesome. That's a good way to do it because your friends know you. So,
well, the main thing is I'm not one to go on dating apps.
Yeah, I hear you there.
And Richard Simmons was the guy that was the head of that started the
Silver Foxes.
Silver Foxes. Richard Simmons. I had to go look at that for a minute.
So where can we catch the Silver Foxes?
Well, you have to go on YouTube. They're on there. And but anyway, and let's talk about some of the books that I've done because I'm also a best-selling contributing writer.
I love that. Let's talk about it.
My latest one was One Habit. They're the One Habit series by the late Steve Sambliss. And the one that I was in was Entrepreneurial Success. And he did many bestsellers. Unfortunately, less than a couple of weeks ago, he died of AIDS. No, not AIDS. I take that back. I'm so sorry. He died of COVID.
Oh, wow.
And it was very weird because he had a best-selling book way before that on how to deal with COVID.
Oh my gosh.
This was before any. That's and he's basically was a young guy. I mean, he was only in his late 40s, early 50s. That's horrible, So my deepest sympathy to the family and to everyone that knew him and everybody that profited with him. And I really owe a lot to him and was a great guy. I also contributed on a thing, the life and work of the late Patsy Swayze, who's the mother of the late Patrick Swayze.
Okay.
And Patrick's mother, Patsy, was another one of the Silver Foxes. You know.
Oh, good. There were ladies in there. I love that.
Yeah. But I knew her very well. She not only taught people to dance very, very well, she taught, oh my God, John Travolta on Saturday night. What was it? Saturday Night Live or what? What was that big movie?
Saturday Night
Fever.
She was a choreographer.
Yeah. She was a choreographer, but not only that, but very early on, she would take babies who were crippled and help them and exercise their legs. This woman was just an angel. So I contributed a very big part in that book that's coming out earlier in the year by Susan Tabak.
So what's the book called?
Excuse me?
What's the name of the book?
The book is I'm pretty sure the book is going to finally be named The Life and Works of Patsy Swayze.
Okay.
Who was a very, very big dance teacher. So, and I also did something with Antonio Tossini years and years ago. She's a producer back in Italy. It's in Italian, so. But that's also what I do, and I'm writing my own book.
How did you get involved with writing? How did you get involved with being
my own book too? On my life, it's called Because I Was Adopted at Birth, and it's about looking for and finding me. It's, you know, I'm maybe halfway through it, but I'm also along with Evil Black Widow, okay, which is in pre-production now. And because they're trying to find money.
So how'd you get involved in writing these books and being a contributor?
Well, I'm very lucky. It's, you know, people find me and they know that I'm, you know, attached to certain things, but I'm also writing something along with that Evil Black Widow that's going to be a handbook with it. And it's called, it's about a book on narcissism, because the Black Widow had a narcissistic nature. Now, there are many Black Widows out there. So this, you know, tells much about the narcissistic nature and the many types of narcissism, which is a very big subject today. So I'm writing that with Craig Muckler, which I said is, you know, part of my Microwave Massacre, and also he was also known for Bella Buhai, and he's also writing, you know, the Black Widow thing that's coming in. But and we're also going to be in a thing called Mark and Clark, with him as a director and writer, along with James Balsamo. So those are the things that I'm you know, connected with right now. So
you're involved in some charities, I heard, as well. Tell us a little bit about your charity work.
My husband, Bill Lashbrook, my present husband, and I used to work with foster care. And we had the Shining Star Kids of America. We were up on a ranch, and these were foster kids that were sexually molested and abused in every way that you can imagine. And what happened is we got horses up there that were given to us. We did equine therapy. I taught the girls how to wear their makeup and what colors of clothes, you know, that they should wear. And Bill taught them how to speak properly.
Love that.
Well, you know what? I think the fact that I was adopted at birth, it was my way of paying it forward. I think that that's very important.
And it helped you connect with the girls,
it was one of the lucky ones. I never knew foster care. I was a black market baby, where my my adopted parents knew the mayor of St. Louis, who, cut a lot of red tape for them. But even my biological people, they were, very, very good people. But back in the 50s, that was a big no-no. My biological father was a doctor. My mother was going to nursing school, so in my background, I'm a direct descendant of here, let me get a direct descendant of
Groucho Marx.
Groucho Marx?
No, he's teasing.
I'm sorry, I thought that's what William said. I was trying to listen to what William was saying.
No, but the American, what is it? American Revolution of Daughters of the American Revolution. You can't buy yourself into that. You have to be connected to that. You have to be born into it. Wow. Also, a biological uncle of mine, George B. Patton, not George S. Patton, the war hero, but a George B. Patton was Attorney General of North Carolina. So that's in my DNA.
I love that. When did you find out all of this?
Well, when I went to go looking for my my biological people, because I'm writing my book and everything like that, I was lucky enough to, I wanted my medical history, and of course, my mother being a nurse, my biological mother, and my biological father being a doctor, they were adamant about me knowing my medical history. So that was. Thank God it was given to me, because it saved my life, because I found out I have Hashimoto's, which is a viral type of thing with my thyroid. I was able to correct that and able to do a lot of things that ordinarily I wouldn't have been able to do, because, half of, surviving is knowing your medical history and knowing your DNA. It's proactive medicine. I'm very, very proactive. Even my husband and I just went on a thing and got smart cremation. Okay, if you look that up, that's one of the biggest companies about cremation. They when you die, you give them the the death certificate, and they make all the phone calls for you, because I don't want my family to have to worry about anything. No, I'm a prepper. I believe in being proactive and, being ready for, anything that comes in my way or anything that comes in life, because life is tenuous. And today with COVID and, God forbid, you could be in a car crash or anything could happen. You could have a heart attack, cancer.
That's a smart way to go to do that. Did you reconnect with any of your biological family after finding out about them? Did you reconnect with anybody?
Oh yeah. My sister and I, my biological sister and I talk a few times a year. She's a retired nurse. And I also, connected with some of my cousins that are on my Facebook now. And every Christmas, we send cards. It's nice. It really is. My extended family, and it's wonderful. It's a very good feeling.
Did your sister know about your existence before you contacted her?
Well, yeah, because she found accidentally, because she was looking through some drawers, and she found my birth certificate when she was like 16 years old. And she asked my mom, my biological mom, what is this? But my mother made sure that when she was dying of cancer, that she goes, you go find her, because I want her to know her background, and I want her to know her medical, and being in healthcare, she knew the importance,
Wow. Well, so why were you adopted? Did she explain that to your sister? Did your sister explain that to you?
Well, this was back in the 50s. And, when life was a little bit different then. She was going to nursing school. She was not legally married to my father. And it was just like a no-no back then. Today it's an everyday thing, but it's like, and this comes up in my book. And I also had a child when I was 19 years old that my adopted parents said, look, you either have to get an abortion or you have to give it up for adoption because we're not going to take care of it. They already had 3 of their own kids that they were taking care of. So, but I reunited with him. He's, you know, a wonderful kid, very smart. Nicely brought up. He was adopted by 2 teachers. His father was a PhD in calculus at San Diego State. His mother was an English and music teacher, but he got adopted right away because he, you know, was healthy male.
Wow. So, this is going to be a very fascinating book. When are you going to finish it?
Good question. Because I'm working on all these other things, but it's going to be finished in time. I'm going to have help with it because I'm going to hire some other people that are going to help me write it, including my husband. And so it will get out there. And because when I'm on my deathbed, I want to know that I helped other women. I think it would empower other women and to do, you know, people who are adoptees and people who are put their kids up for adoption. And I was born in Chicago. Chicago files are pretty much closed. So I was very lucky to have my sister send me back, you know, my background. And oh my God, you know, much of my biological people, when they first came, they came through the Carolinas and Tennessee and Georgia. So I'm a Midwestern girl, born in Chicago, raised in St. Louis, but with Southern roots.
That's really funny. When did you migrate to California?
My parents decided to come to California when I was 11 years old. And we first went to, I think it was Tustin. Yeah, we got a house, you know, which is in Orange County, as many of you know. So I lived there for a couple of years. And then my dad bought a house in Escondido, which is North San Diego County. And my the family that I was brought up into, which I consider my real parents because they are the ones that fed and clothed me. And my father owned a jewelry store chain, and I was brought up very, very privileged. So I'm, you know, it worked out. Thank God.
When did you get hit with the acting bug? You guys were living in Tustin. Were you a teenager when you started going to Hollywood, going to auditions?
Nah, you know what? It's just something that was in me. I don't know why, because my parents weren't into it. But I don't know. I always knew that I wanted to be an actress. I was totally just absolutely bored with school, hated it. No, I don't need school. You know, I'm going to be an actress. You know, we all think that we're going to, you know, burn Hollywood, you know, knock them dead. And we, you know, because we don't know the business, and we all have these fantasies about being movie stars, and, you know, which is very normal for people that want to be actors. They have no clue how hard it really is. But so I was very, very lucky.
Because you were young, you were a teenager when you started, right?
Yes. Well, I don't know. Actually, starting acting, I actually was in my 20s.
Oh, okay. And did you go to school for it?
Did
you get training from Lee Strasberg or any of the schools over there?
Yeah, I studied under Dominic DeFazio, who was out of the acting studio of New York. And that was my first mentor, you know, that I went to for a very short time, but I learned a lot. I really did. But I went to several, you know, acting studios, and I was enthralled with it. It was just something that I wanted to do. I thought it was glamorous. But I also did other things. I worked for, I did promotions for Estee Lauder in, you know, Nordstrom's. Yeah. So I learned makeup and hair, and I did creative things. except for the fact that, you know, in the 80s, I also worked for, oh my God, who was it? Marty Licker, who was an entertainment CPA in Beverly Hills. And so I met a lot of people there, made a lot of contacts. And then, oh my God, what else did I do? Well, I didn't meet Marty Baum until years and years later, but that was the president of CAA, but that was somebody, that was a friend of mine's agent, not mine, unfortunately, because here it's who's behind you.
Tell us about your first acting job or something that was notable. Like, did you start in commercials? What was your first movie? Tell us a little bit about that.
It was always very, very small stuff.
In the beginning.
Low key in the very beginning. And I started out being an extra. That's how I started out. And then I gradually got, you know, small parts. And, but it was very, you know, one notable guy that I worked for was Jeff Olin, the Jeff Olin casting. He did all the Grey's Anatomy and the Perfect Murders and all that. But he's the one that hired me for Holy Hollywood, that they're going to recut, and there's going to be a lot of publicity on it.
Wow. So what was it like when you married Sal and then you met Al Pacino, and then did he give you some acting pointers?
Well, Al never gave me any acting pointers, but I want to tell everybody that Al is a wonderful, wonderful guy. He's very earthy. I was scared to death to meet him because here was this guy who was, you know, Scarface and The Godfather. Oh my God, I didn't know what to expect. And here I was, this nice Jewish girl, you know, sitting there, you know, and, but I was just so mesmerized, and I didn't know what to expect, but he turned out to be one of the nicest guys I've ever met in my life. One of the nicest guys. He never married. He came very close with the Beverly D'Angelo, whom he had twins with, but he's very, very close to his 3 children. Very, very close. They love him dearly, and he loves them. When my husband, Sal Pacino, died, he called me not once, but a couple of times. Katherin, did you need anything? If you need anything, call my New York office. You know, he's very, very kind, but I go, you know what, Al, I really appreciate it, but my husband left me well off, thank God. And I knew that my father was going to leave me well off. And I didn't want I didn't want to be another person with my hand out. So after I sold my house and everything, and I had, you know, the money that was left to me, I said, Al, I really appreciate it, but look, all I want is your respect. And he goes, you know, you got it. So when I come to see him after a play or something like that, which is the only time I get to see him, or at the Icon Awards, what he got, you know, a couple of years ago, I always bring something to him. You know, I always bring, you know, like he loves Shakespeare, and he loves, you know, sonnets and things like that. So
what are some of the similarities? What were some of the similarities between Al Pacino and Sal Pacino?
They're very similar, actually. A lot of people don't know that Al first started out as a comedian.
Really?
He worked at a movie theater, but he also worked as in comedy. But he knows how to tell stories. He's very funny, but he's very earthy and very, very nice. You know, he's very, very I don't know, grateful for everything that he has. He really is.
That's great. That's great when people are like that, and that, you know, have a big responsibility, and you see that they act really well about it. Was Sal like that too? Was Sal funny?
Sal was very funny, always joking around, always telling stories. So I think Al got a lot of that from him. But unfortunately, when Sal was married to Al's mother, the mother-in-law was always trying to, break them up. nobody was good enough for her, for, her daughter. And I could understand that. But you can't have somebody constantly, what do you call it, sabotaging your marriage. That's, marriages are hard enough. You're gonna now Sal's grandfather loved Sal. The mother-in-law was another thing, but what are you going to do? So, and this was brought up, and so this thing about Al hating his father or anything like that, that's not true. He felt abandoned when he married his second wife, and the wife wanted to come out to California. But Al never abandoned Al, never. I mean, he there was a part where a time where he had to go into the Army Air Force, but he always made sure that, Al's mother was, taken care of. So by the time he got back, the grandparents wanted to keep him, but he never abandoned Al. And I want to say that, because my late husband isn't here to speak up for himself. So, but I am.
Katherin, did you ever have any other children after you had given up your son for adoption? Did you ever have children after that?
No, I always had stepchildren, and that's okay. I was always somebody else's mom, but you know what? But there's nothing wrong with that. I always tried to be the stepmother that I would want,
Were you married before Sal?
Yes, I was married to P. Sterling Radcliffe, who wrote a song, "You're My First, Last, and Everything" by Barry White, who did, it went diamond. Pavarotti finally bought it, but that was after he and I divorced, that he had the real fame with it. But the song was written, he wrote it for me, which I'm very, very proud of.
Wow.
That wound up in a divorce because, unfortunately, Sterling was very much of a player, and I didn't want to deal with it anymore. So, and I had a couple of marriages after that that were very, very short-lived, because I was very young and I thought that I could change the guy. But my best marriages were Sal Pacino, and trying to make this marriage work here. Yeah, no, I'm teasing. My husband's a good guy. He was a very good guy, and he was there when I lost Sal, and I went through 1 year, which was 2005, which I not only lost Sal, but 9 months later, my mother to terminal cancer.
Oh,
4.5 months after that, I lost my older brother in a car crash, and then of course I was selling a house, which is, these are all major stressful things.
Wow, if you guys survive that, then it looks promising. And Bill's fun. Where's Bill? Is he still there? Where'd he go?
Hey, Bill, come
on. Sparkle, I have to tell you, the luggage carrier for all of this activity.
He's on the red carpets with me. He loves it.
You guys get to have a
reality
reality
say that they hate it, forget about it.
Well, thank you so much for coming on my show. You guys are awesome. I'm going to keep an eye out for your autobiography and for your films. You said you guys are looking for funding. Is there a GoFundMe page for the project that's coming up?
Okay, we contact Craig Muckler.
Okay.
And David Bond, who's the writer from Cyclone Entertainment. He's in LA, and Muckler is Craig Muckler is in Minnesota.
Let me talk to him for a second.
Or better yet, Joe Williamson in LA, who's their prime contact, PR, and one of the best agents you could ever ask for.
Fantastic.
What a good guy. Shout out to you, Joe.
Now, Sparkle,
Joe, brought us together. Are you guys on Instagram? Where can we keep up with you? Facebook, Instagram, Twitter?
We're on Facebook, Katherin Kovin-Pacino. That's spelled Katherin, and then Kovin, Kovin dash Pacino, Pacino.
I know I've never seen Katherin spelled like this. I love it.
Well, actually, you know what? I got it from, Barbara Streisand changed her name to Barbra. Now, Barbara is usually not spelled like that usually, but I wanted it to be unique. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, so
just a little bit unique.
I like it. Well, we're going to follow you guys on Facebook. You guys are awesome. And thank you so much for coming on my show.
Sparkle, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. And a big shout out to Joe Williamson. A big shout out to David Bond. And a big shout out to my colleague, icon, Craig Muckler, James Balsamo. Also, the guy I just worked with, Russell Emanuel, who's won many awards. That he was nice enough to let me work on Staycation. He's won multiple awards.
Tell Sparkle, you and I haven't ever met a microphone. We don't.
Yeah, we've never met a microphone that we don't instantly like and love.
I love it. I love it. Welcome to Everything Sparkle. With us, we have Mike Wagner today. How are you, Mike?
Hey, I'm doing great, Sparkle. Thanks for having me on. It's a terrific, and you always make everything sparkle, I'll tell you. And thanks for being on my show today as well, too. It's like you've gotten rave reviews. You're amazing.
Awesome. So tell us all that you do, because you do a lot.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. It's just like, are you ready to take some notes? I have a king scroll of accomplishments. So
yeah, let's take the notes.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I actually started my career in 1982, just getting out of high school. And I was actually going to be a sports writer. I was going to get into sportscasting, play-by-play. I've been a big, Chicago, Milwaukee fan pretty much all my life. And all of a sudden music took over, and went to a radio station and at Harper College in Palatine, Illinois. And, I was getting ready to sign up. All of a sudden something just bit me. And it's like,
are you serious? Wow.
It's like something bit me. And it turned out it was called a radio bug. Those things where Spider-Man, gets this like, gets this here or something. That's the effect I felt as soon as I was signing out to join. It's like I felt something bite, and it was a radio bug that bit me. So
wow. So then that's when you knew, hey, this is my direction. This is what I'm going to do.
So it's pretty much it. I've been there for 3 years, and then I went on to Southern Illinois University in Carbondale back in 85 and finished up my degree there, and worked on a number of stations, did news, sports, played music, everything else, and then came back up to Chicago area in 1988. I spent some time at WRMN, WJKL, and Elgin for 4 years. I held down a number of shifts, did the same thing, and went over to WKTA, WNVR Northbrook, which is closer to Chicago market, and took some time off from broadcasting to raise a young family until about 2006, where my coworkers, family, and friends were urging me to get back in the business. And they're
how many kids did you have, Mike? Or do
I'm
you
sorry?
How many kids do you have?
I've got 4 kids. And at the time when I retired, I took a semi-retirement. I had my first 2 that were really young. And then I was working for a private institution, which had a ministry that was all coming together like a campus. And then 2 more came around. I was working with 4. And then around 2006, out they're making some changes. And they said, have you thought about getting back in the radio? Because we were ready to set up a campus radio station, but eventually that fell through. And so eventually that I ended up getting back in, and I worked up in Milwaukee, doing some real estate voiceover work. So that was another venture I did. And I later went to WRLR in Round Lake, which is right by the Wisconsin-Illinois border, and did some play-by-play, played some music and whatever else. And then I got a call from...
So you played music? What do you mean?
Well, basically, it's like I held down an on-air shift. I played whatever I felt like. And then I ran sports. It's like I had to run the board for the
for everything. So it went from like music, sports. You did both talk radio and music radio. You did both?
I did that. Yes, I did all that. I was a producer. I did just about everything. And then I got a call from an Arizona consulting firm and asked me to come out to Bismarck, North Dakota to run a few outlets. And I've been here ever since March 2007. And I did work for KDKT from 2007 up until I think it was at 29 or 010 or something. And then later that year, I went to KFYR in Bismarck, where I remain to this day. So I've been doing that, and I've been doing the Mike Wagner Show as a podcast since August of 2018. And this signified it because I was in the Black Hills of South Dakota at the time. And I got a message from California publicist asking me, hey, would you like to do some interviews? I said, okay, what's the catch? And so I asked them some questions like, you get the interview, and it's like, any charge? Goes, no, we'll help you out. And I said, sure, brought some guests. And then first guest was Sandy Hellberg. He was great. He was in Spaceballs. I had Eddie Deason. I had Tammy Locke from the Monroes, and then everything just opened up from there. You didn't have people from the Land of the Lost, that dinosaur movie and everything else. And so everything just took off from there. And, here we are, 800 plus episodes. And I could hit 1,000 by the end of the year. Mike Wagner Show runs strong on 30, soon to be 35 podcast platforms. Platforms keeps adding. I'm on MikeWagnerShow.com. I'm on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Audible, Apple Music, and working on Podbean, Buzzsprout, Pandora, and TuneIn. Also heard worldwide, Geo7, Radio Public, Himalaya, and also some other podcasts out there, which I'm trying to figure out. I'm also on the YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Mike Wagner Show. Also on Instagram and Twitter. And we encourage you guys to do the same. And I think you're on my Instagram and Twitter as well, too. If not, just go to Mike Wagner Show and click on it, and we'll be friends.
Definitely. I just did. But you don't stream it on Instagram. You're on Instagram, but you're not streaming the show on Instagram, are you?
No, I'm not. And what I do is I basically just record the interview and play back a later date because of the fact that I grew up. It's like the old time radio days. It wasn't live at all. And I had bad experience doing live where it's just like a thunderstorm would hit or microphone goes out. And it's like the interview would just go to crap. And so I basically just tape it and play it back a later date. I treat it like it's old time radio. So I basically just have guests. It's like, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months in advance, or even like stack them up and everything. It's like I've been just really high demand, and you're one of my great 800 plus guests on the list, and you should be.
I love it. I love your interview, Sal. I think it's great, and I love. You got to bring out that pillow. Come on, Mike. Show us your face.
Oh, you know something? Would you like to sleep with me tonight? I'm right here. Yes, the Mike Wagner Show. You can check out the merchandise at the MikeWagnerShow.com. Also, Amazon.com. Check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. You got T-shirts, long sleeves, shirt sleeve, tank tops, hoodies, which I'm going to put on in the wintertime. And also pillows for if you're looking for somebody to sleep with. Makes great gifts 24/7, 365. And Sparkle, if you like to go shopping, I've got a tote bag, and you can take that shopping with you.
I can take you everywhere, Mike.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. So if anybody is clearly interested in any of my merchandise, you can just hit me up on Instagram. Oops, I fell over. I mean, this is flying off the shelves too. So anyway, you can just message me on Instagram, message me on Twitter. You can also message at the Mike Wagner Show at gmail.com. Message me on Facebook if you're interested. I can give you the link. You can order for yourself, loved ones.
Okay, what's the link?
What it is? It's
or we go on your website and then we can get the link there, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Go to the website, themikewagnershow.com. If you're having trouble,
Perfect. That's easy.
And I can get you the link as well too to order. So it's easy, it's convenient, and yes, it's safe.
Okay, so the guest, that's what I want to know. Who was one of the most interesting guests you have ever had?
Well, I got to say, number one, it's you, because you made the show sparkle. I mean, you just had a great background and you just had a great story. And of course, you got the Everything Sparkle podcast, which is just sparkling. And also you're a game show host, make them laugh. And that's another thing on my bucket list is like be a game show host. And Jeopardy, are you listening?
You'd be a really good game show host. But seriously, is there somebody that stands out or that we should watch out for? Is there someone that kind of blew you away that you didn't know?
Well, you know something? It's not just the celebrities; it's also the experts in the field as well, too. Like in medical, I had a gentleman named Dr. Gregory Charlop, where it's like, if you're having trouble with metabolism and you're having trouble losing weight and such, he recommends that you go on an 18-hour diet where you have nothing but coffee up until noon. And doctors do this all the time because of the fact that, got a phone call. We don't accept phone calls at this time here. So
an 18-hour diet. So you're doing coffee till noon, and then what? And then
you just have, some lunch, and then 8 o'clock you have a dinner, and then you just go to bed. And it's supposed to burn it off. I've had him on. I've had people on talking about.
Oh, so that's kind of an 8-hour diet. I thought you said 18-hour. That's
18-hour, yeah. And so it's just like I had people on, talking about brain health. I have people on about spirituality. And I had a couple that go on and talk about the end times as well, too. I mean, this world's gone crazy in what's happening. And I've had some great authors, comedians. And one of my favorite stars was Willie Muller from Major League. He was the Duke. And he was the one that came in relief. He would either throw at his son or he can't throw worth crap. And I had him on, and he was just great. He pitched for the Milwaukee Brewers in his hometown and talked about how he got the win. It was just one pitch, and he didn't know about it. And I had him on, and I had Blaze Winter from the Green Bay Packers. He was born with a cleft palate in his mouth, overcame a number of disabilities. And I like people who get on, just had all kinds of obstacles in their life and knowing how to overcome.
I love those too. Those are such great guests, aren't they? It's like, it's inspirational.
Oh, they are, yes. And of course, I probably have to, there's also some that involved what was happening in government as well, too, like author Tim Bakken. He talked about what was happening at West Point, and he was saying some of the things are archaic and things were out of date. And the funny part is that we completely laughed when they had a thing about colored chalk. You had to use a certain color for chalk, and if you mess up on the colored chalk, you'd be reprimanded, suspended, and the third time you're fired. It's like, who uses colored chalk these days and who uses blackboards? Oh,
that is funny. Oh my gosh. You've got some characters then. So Mike, you've got a lot of impressive people. Who would you want to interview that you haven't interviewed if you could choose anybody?
Oh my gosh. I think that's a very interesting question. I would have Ringo Starr on and how he managed to able to handle John, Paul, George back in the day, and his movies, his experience, and I got in the drumming. Paul McCartney, I just love the interview, and I would love that Charlie Watts, but he's up in rock and roll heaven, so that's just one of my things. And of course, I've always loved interviewing musicians too, and whoever's hot out there. And I have Mark Farner on from Grand Funk Railroad. He did a great job, and Kenny Aronoff, the drummer from John Cougar Mellencamp. He had a great story about how he stuck with John Cougar, and you make some great coffee. So I would probably have to say it's like I've got a laundry list, but I'm sure I have to go through several hoops. It's like I don't go to guests. Guests come to me. That's just the way I operate. So
well, yeah, you've been around for forever, so I could totally see why at this point in the game you're like, people are like, hey, have me. So that's really cool.
Mm-hmm. And of course, like yourself too, that you're introduced by a mutual friend, and I took a look, and you had an amazing background. I mean, great actress, great hostess, and you shine on your podcast and everything else, and the fact that you've had some great people on yourself, and believe me, it's like how to really bring the best out of people. That's why you sparkle. It's amazing.
It's really the people that make the show sometimes, it's having the great guests. You don't have to answer who, but were you ever really excited to have someone on and they kind of let you down? They were kind of a total dud.
Have I had that? Nah, because I make it happen. Or I'll get those guests where they give like, one or two word answers, maybe one quick sentence, whatever else. And I'll try to come up with something really quirky as well, too. And I remember a guy who did some podcasting or broadcasting. He had some trouble with a guest. And he asked, what do you think what do you think about dogs? And like, dogs? What's that got to do with it? And all of a sudden, things opened up. So that's just one of the tricks they did. And one of the guests I had on actually had a trick where he was on tour with Mick Jagger and the Stones, and Mick gets asked the same questions every time. Oh, yeah. And of course, he told me a trick that ask a question that has never been asked before. And so it's just like if I were to talk to Mick, I said, it's like, hey, it's like, you've been on this for so long and used to be an accountant. I said, what's it like, working the books? And if it weren't for the Stones, we should be doing some full-time accounting. And I think at one point that he was doing it for the Queen of England, which had to be like a daunting task, I'll tell you.
Wow, really? That's really cool information you got out.
Mm-hmm. And so I learned about that too. And of course I've done some sports talk. I've done some news and, taken debates and everything else, but I've always taken on people with sports. And there was a lady on that was actually married to a football player from the Washington Redskins, but divorced. And she just shares football stories like crazy, like the ins and outs and what they're really like. I'm like, holy cow, you ought to be on network, lady.
Okay, so have you ever gotten concert tickets or game tickets with all these like sports people and musicians? You get like, hey, I want to go to your concert. Can you hook it up? Did they ever offer?
Well, there are times they do offer. I never ask because I find it very impolite to do so. I mean, if they give me tickets, they give me records, they give me a shirt, whatever, I say, hey, great, thank you. But I don't expect that. I get books from people. I get little trinkets and everything. I just say, well, thank you. It's all part of the job. And I consider like a huge compliment. If they give me tickets, that's great. If not, it says, hey, that's okay. I've got just so much to do. It's like, I'm never bored with anything. I'll tell you. No. Oh my gosh, it's something. Yes.
So what was one of the coolest things that you were offered that you took up? Was there anything like really exciting that you were like, wow, this is so cool, I just got this?
Oh my gosh, I think it was probably let me think here. I was gonna mention t-shirt story, but that's pretty boring. But I had a guest on that he lived in Tampa, and I noticed in the background he had an old Tampa Bay Buccaneers glass, which is like back in the 70s. And you've given me 1 minute. I'm gonna show you really quickly here, and this is a really cool thing. And this was actually one of the old glasses they sold at gas stations with the NFL on from Mobil Oil. And I looked at my dad worked for Mobil Oil, and he brought home the Packers, Bears, Vikings, and Lions and other teams all the time. And I'm looking at it, it's like, I compliment, it was really cool. He goes, here, I'll send it to you. And I use this from time to time ever since. 1976. This was the year. For all you Tampa fans out there are probably going to puke, but this is definitely a collector's item, I'll tell you that. So, I've had some of that too. So, I mean, that's just the best part about the job. You just get trinkets and everything else. And like, oh my gosh. And then it's just all the perks and everything just comes with it. And I even had coffee too from a couple of guests. Kenny Arnoff did some, made his own coffee called Kabam. And it was just like Black Rifle coffee, but it was really good. It kept me awake all night after having a couple of cups and, just having some right now as we speak. So that's what we're doing.
Oh, wow. So, what does your wife think about all this? You're filming in the house. You're always filming. What does she have input? Does she get to ever meet the guests, or do you ever bring her on?
Well, actually, that I'm doing it downstairs, and she's got some,
the man cave
things to take care of, and my boys are upstairs. They're doing their thing with their friends. They go outside and everything, and they'll come down from time to time, and they'll learn how to be quiet. But I did have some times where it's like I was on Facebook Live in my early days, and I just talk about what I'm doing, and my cat Taylor jumped from there when I had a mattress right in front of me, and he's sitting there rubbing away and everything else and trying to take over the whole show. And guess who got more likes than anything else?
The cat.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And I learned that anything that's impromptu just simply says that, hey, this is working. I mean, back in the day in broadcasting where it's like you had, people walking in, cats drop and whatever else, people get pissed. And nowadays it's like, it's all part of it. It's all reality. So you just, have cats come in, and I normally have my dog, but I'm afraid she'd wreck my computer. So I said, wait until you're calm, Molly. That's my dog. She's a Beagle boxer. And I've had some dog lovers on there, cat lovers, animal lovers, and whatever else. That's also part of the repertoire. And if somebody had a dog or cat that just happened to walk in, I just interrupt the interview and just say, hey, we got a special guest here. And they love talking about animals. I mean, how many dogs and cats you got in your house, Sparkle?
None, but I do love dogs and I love boxers. So when you said that, my eyes lit up. I used to have an American bulldog, so definitely love the boxers. Everyone thought she was a boxer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, they're loyal, they're affectionate, but they can also be pretty stubborn.
I did interview once the woman that had the world's ugliest dog, and she's had a couple. She knows how to win. She knows how to pick him, and she's been on like Good Morning America. She's been on a lot of things showcasing the world's ugliest dog. So I kind of almost interviewed a dog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're just the best things. It's like what they're like, what they do, and everything else. I mean, I like to interview more pet owners, dogs, cats, birds, snakes. And now I had Larry Batson, the animal guy, and his story was that he actually provided animals for Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, to provide for his shows and also for the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. And he provided, and the trick is that you do not speak to Johnny Carson whatsoever. And it's like, you don't go backstage, you don't interact. And the thing is that he comes out and pets the animals. If you do it like beforehand, the animals start act up on stage. And he talked about that. And I was like, that was just interesting. Of course, you hear stories about Johnny Carson and everything else, but those are the two that stood out: Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom and the Tonight Show. Otherwise, he said the rest of the animal shows are just garbage because they literally mishandle animals. That's
I bet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I did have back when we were doing live on stage interviews before COVID, because I only switched to this format when COVID happened. Before that, it was always face to face. And I did have a snake handler, but he put everything on my hands. I didn't attempt to touch the animals without him handing them to me. And then he had this bunny that shed. So it was big, like fat bunny, so hairy, and it shed all over the chair. And I had a guest after that, so I'm trying to switch the chairs so she didn't have all this bunny hair all over. Did you do a lot of live in-person interviews? Like or were you always like this type of format?
It was always like this. I did it by phone. That was the way I was raised, for radio with the phone and everything else. And then I tell people I got a face for radio, and I just keep it as just like a classic radio format. It's unedited, it's complete reality, it's unfiltered, and also the fact that it's also casual and it's also actual as well. And getting back to the whole bunny story as well, too, it made me think of, bunnies and everything. It makes me think of Monty Python. It's like Monty Python and Holy Grail is one of my favorite films. And it's a little bunny there. And all of a sudden comes out and starts attacking. It's like, kill a rabbit, run away.
So when you get on all these platforms, Mike, I'm really fascinated that you're on so many platforms. And how does people tell you need to be on this one? So you just look into how to get on all of them? How did it happen?
I actually did my own research because I knew about Spreaker a long time ago, that the fact it was connected to iHeartRadio, and I got on. It was because of iHeartRadio, and then it was also, I think it had SoundCloud, and I think it had I'm trying to think. I think it was Apple, and
you started off with a few platforms, and then you kind of just grew slowly as you started hearing about things. You're like, I'm going to get on that one. I'm going to get on that one. Is that kind of how it works?
It does, yes, because there's also Anchor FM, which you can do for free. I also expanded to there's Radio Public, Geo7. I found out there's a huge market in India, and it actually took up a lot of that. And same with Spreaker, and I think also was connected to Spotify, which has really gotten popular too. So Apple and Spotify pretty much came together, which I found was amazing. And then the YouTube channel, I started my own. And of course, Instagram, I plucked down a few accounts, and I'm looking to expand to other platforms that just happen to pick up the show. I didn't even ask about it. So it's like, that's why it's at 30 right now. I could be at 35. And I think there's a good chance by the end of the year, I could be up to 40, 45, or even 50. And I'm looking to get on some networks and get on some other platforms. And you just run a show, once, twice a month or whatever it is. I mean, I'm always looking to expand. I don't stick to just one thing and stay there. It's just like, I'm always expanding. And that's why I'm on 35 podcast platforms and just continue to do so. And I encourage everybody to subscribe to YouTube. Help me get 1,000 subscribers, please.
I will definitely subscribe. We will make sure everybody subscribes to here. And I know what that's like because, me too. It's like people love my show. And I'm like, well, if you love it so much, why aren't you subscribing to it? So I understand exactly how that goes. It's like that helps. So who have you ever met that you were a fan of, that you were surprised was a fan of yours or that knew who you were?
Let's see. Who I met when I was a fan and actually came up.
Were you and then like, oh, they knew about you and they knew about your show or whatever, and you were like, wow, I've always been a fan of you, or I wanted you on there. Have you ever had that kind of interaction?
Oh my gosh. I think it's kind of like twofold in a way, because the fact that, in conversation, I remember, just having a conversation with, watching Bill Madlock play from the Chicago Cubs. And then when it came to sign autographs, he was the most personable guy on the planet. And then another guy I liked, Jose Cardinal from the Cubs, he looked like he was having fun, but then he was at the sign. He's like, he didn't want to be there. It's like, oh my God. It's like, he was kind of a jerk. But then it's like, I think I've had, I've been a Packer fan for God knows how long, and I'm aware of Blaze Winter that he was one of my favorite players. And then he asked me to be on my show. And I said, sure. And it turned out he was just the most compassionate guy. He was very dedicated, very hardworking, and he really loved what he did. And told about the time he played for the Packers, the Colts, the San Diego Chargers, Buffalo Bills. And he had a great story about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the fact that, he walked away, was it from Green Bay, to sign for more money, and it turned out that the team at the time were being run by a bunch of jerks. I'm like, why did I do this for more money? I could have stayed. So the lesson learned is, don't always jump to another place for more money, because you might get treated like crap. And I've had that experience before. It's like, I'll go to a place that give you more money, but the conditions are worse. That happened to two of my friends. It's like they got promotions, bigger money, but oh my God, they come out miserable. So yes, it's like, just if you're happy where we're at, just stick to what you do. If you get a raise, that's great. That's just sort of thing. And
did you ever interview people from a rival team that you weren't a big fan of?
I interview everybody, and I just treat it like it's just it's all business. I don't say, hey,
you don't say, hey, I'm a fan of this person, I'm a fan of the opposite. That never comes up. You just act like.
No, I just do it like just a regular person. And there are times that people like to be treated as a regular person. It's like they just want to get out of the spotlight a little bit, just be by themselves, have dinner with family, go out and everything else. And I had a lady that I talked to, and she was a waitress at a steakhouse in Houston. And I think the coach, I can't remember who it was, had his own exclusive table for him and the coaches. And she got instructions. Don't let anybody bother him for autographs, questions, and everything else. Let him eat. That's the thing too. So it's like, sometimes, you got some people that just want to be left alone, do their jobs, and just go be with family. So, I totally understand where they're coming from. There are times it's like, there are times I love being in the spotlight, but then it's like you step away and just kind of, chill a little bit. Chill. So that type of thing.
When you were doing radio exclusively before you started all of this, did people recognize you for your voice when you were like around town? They're like, I know that voice.
I think thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of times. And I'm like, really? I said, thanks. I greatly appreciate it. It's like, tune in. What do you want to hear and everything? So it's been going on since 82. It's like, I used to try to get attention. Now it's just like, I become so recognizable in my voice. It's like people come up and say, hey, I listen to you all the time. And my wife and I were at one of the county fairs, and Western North Dakota to go see Marty Stewart. And Marty Stewart was fantastic. He was a really good country Western artist up there, traditional, and plays the Nashville Opry and everything. And so, people came up and he goes, hey, how's KFYR? And I think I've had maybe 20 people come up to me, never ask me about my full-time job in the day. It's always KFYR. And how's your podcast? It's like I become known for that than working at a plant, mine, or anywhere else up in North Dakota. And I thought, what have I done here?
So you've done a lot of voiceover work. Is there anything that we would know you from that is surprising, like something that I would have heard you in and not known that it was you?
I think it was probably back a long time ago that if you call the 1-800 number for Bear Snacks, I get their customer service. I tell people to hold. And, I was on that. And then I did some commercials for some clients in Sarasota, Florida, like the Volusia Speedway, which is the county of Sarasota. And was it, I think there's an Acura dealership and I think a couple of Sarasota businesses. I did some work, and I did some work for a car dealership in southwestern North Dakota. And I think there was also a couple, I think, overseas, like for an internet radio station. I got known for that. But I think probably the biggest one is if you go to YouTube and you want to get to learn about Ultraviolet Giotto. I did that, and it was just like an audition. And this lady's like, here, read this. And I'm like, I couldn't believe 100 people. She picked me. I went, whoa.
Thank you so much for coming on my show, Mike. So we're going to follow you on all of the platforms and Facebook and Instagram, Twitter. You're very active, right? So you said that if we talk to you, you usually respond to us.
Correct. Yeah. It's also Facebook.com/Mike Wagner voiceover, Facebook.com, Mike Wagner show, Facebook.com, Mike Wagner KFYR. It's I type in those keywords, I pop up. And once again, you can check out the Mike Wagner show over 30 podcast platforms: Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Audible, and Apple. Coming soon to Podbean, Buzzsprout, Pandora, TuneIn, Heard Worldwide, Geo7, Radio Public, Himalaya, and the YouTube channel. Also, the Mike Wagner show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Also brought to you by our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson, CF Missing, available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. And our holiday sponsor is Picture This Photo Books, where memory is a key ingredient. Call Karen Shaw at 646-798-0809. Or visit picturethisphotoBooks.com, and also subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Click the like button. And if you love the Mike Wagner Show much you want to donate, go to MikeWagnerShow.com, click on the donate button. You can donate on PayPal at Mike Wagner Voiceover or the Mike Wagner Show, also Anchor FM/support. Make sure you do generously today. I work very hard, and you should thank me for it. So that's where I'm at right now, too.
Mike, have you ever been an auctioneer?
You know something? I've listened to auctioneers, but I am slower than those guys. They talk way faster.
I think that could be your next thing. I think you should try it sometime.
It wouldn't be a bad idea. I'll probably have to start at the bottom, but I guess it doesn't hurt to try. I might have to get more encouragement. If there's anything you want me to auction off, I can do so too. So
thank you so much for coming on my show, Mike.
All right. And thank you, Sparkle. And you're absolutely amazing. You make everything sparkle. I look forward to having you on my show. And let me know when you want to get on. You're more than welcome to come on anytime.
Thank you.
Felt right in the moment, felt right in the summertime. It felt right drinking cherry wine with you. Just wanted to own it, just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here, oh, we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you. Now I must confess here, oh, I must confess, dear, don't think I'm in love with you. Winter is coming and I don't know what to do, and there's no more use in running, no more running to you. And I don't want your loving, I don't want to be just friends, knowing all this time we were playing pretend.
It's a mystery.